Well, speaking of talking about whatever the fuck we want, it's another episode of Frame Rate with Abraham.
And Michael.
That's right.
Isaac and Jacob.
And shut up! There's a third person here who's not supposed to talk until they're introduced. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alex Shifman. Do you want to say something?
Do you
I
want to cut
I was
his
going to say
intro
how
off?
great you are and that you host a phenomenal podcast called At Least There's This. but-
I do. At least there's this is currently on hiatus, but it won't be on hiatus forever in the future. I am also a producer and host of a live show called Science, the Show. If you're in LA, come check that out, where we bring local scientists, because LA is like one of the best science cities in America, and local comedians, because LA is the entertainment capital of this country, together to do a badass show every month about some of the coolest cutting edge shit in science. So
Nice.
find us online on Facebook, Twitter, wherever, Science the Show.
Woo! Well, that you heard was that I was compulsively realizing I didn't say, welcome to Frame Rate, a show where we rate frames. But who actually cares? Because all I care about is talking about our topic today, which Alex picked from our long, long list of movies. We've wanted to cover this movie since the very beginning, and it was one of the 2 or 3 on the list where I'm like, we actually got frustrated. We're like, why is no one picking?
choosing it?
Yeah, so let's start things off by asking Alex, what is your history with Kung Fu Hustle? Why'd you pick it off the list?
Oh, doggy.
Why is it special to you? And we'll go from there.
doggy.
So I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is probably best known as the Shaolin Temple of the United States. That's not true. No one should be studying martial arts in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I grew up as a little like kung fu nerd. And I knew that I wanted to study martial arts when I was a kid, and I had just seen The Matrix. And the only other martial art I knew about was Taekwondo, and that's what all of like the nerdy kids in my middle school did.
That's what everyone our age did.
Yeah.
It was like the Tai Bo of the time.
Exactly.
It was really being pushed at school.
It's like Peter Freeman's a black belt in Taekwondo, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that then.
You know, like the Coke and Pepsi thing
Yeah.
at our school, they were like, everyone did Taekwondo. There were like 5 kids who did Tong Sudo.
Okay.
They're like, it's a little different.
It's different,
It's a little,
yeah.
there's more holds.
There's arms and stuff in it instead of just kicks.
In a lot of ways, it's more authentic.
Yeah, right. Like I really get the culture. So I wanted to do kung fu because Keanu Reeves has that line, right? And the Wachowskis.
There is no spoon, right?
Right, there is no spoon. You're like, no spoons. Spoons? Kung fu?
Exactly.
Shave my head? Be an asshole for
Whoa,
6 years?
I am Kung Fu.
Yeah. Whoa, kung fu is a thing I know now, is the line, the
That's the
eponymous
line.
line.
Would you describe yourself as having been an asshole during this period?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was between 12 and 18, so I
You
was
just go
awful.
around punching people in
No,
the
I
throat?
couldn't fight
Okay,
for
okay.
shit.
Yeah.
I couldn't fight at all. I was
Did you ever
taught-
get that barcode tattoo on the back of your neck?
No, but I wished I was cool enough. to
But
get
you
that.
definitely thought about
You know,
it.
I was at a comedy show 2 nights ago, and then after the comedy show was a goth coven that like came into the space and had their like communion thing, and I realized like, oh, everyone who taught me kung fu was a goth. Right, they were like white goths in Ohio
Interesting.
who are like basically doing sport wushu but calling it kung fu. That's whatever levels. But so I was in love with this shit, obviously because of like wuxia movies and novels, and wuxia is like Chinese fantasy, but it's like almost. It's like historical fantasy.
It's taken from the myths.
It's taken. But it's not so much mythic as it's like semi-historical. It happens kind of in history.
But with supernatural stuff layered on.
But the supernatural is all entirely like naturalistic supernatural, where it's like
Yeah.
people can kind of fly through the air because their kung fu is so good, right?
Yeah.
And they can
Chi,
stun you
the
with pressure
concept
points.
of chi being unlocked, giving you actual like
Right, like
abilities.
yeah, taken to like the nth degree.
You know,
Yeah.
for the sake of the listener, 13 Assassins, Hero,
Crouching
Crouching
Tiger.
Tiger, right? Those
is
are
the
all
big one.
wuxia,
Yeah.
like heavily like wuxia movies. And so I loved this shit. And then like you're learning kung fu and you're like an impressionable teen and you're like, yeah, like I'll be able to do that, you know? And like
It's almost like
yeah.
Scientology.
It's
You're
very much
I'll
like
get
Scientology.
Magic powers like the movies.
Yeah,
right?
I'll get it. And so eventually I realized like, oh no. I'm very weak and
It's
small.
just a sport. It's just a physical
It's
activity.
a physical activity. There's no powers here. You're not a wizard, Harry. But I kept my love for the genre, and like I did not quite a thesis in my senior year in college because I went to Sarah Lawrence, so you just do whatever the fuck you want. But like I got to do an independent study on Hong Kong kung fu movies from like the late 60s to the early 80s. So like it's my jam. And Kung Fu Hustle came out when I was 14, right? This is 2004, right? Or is it 2005?
2004.
So I was 14
Written
when
and
it
directed
dropped.
by Stephen Chow.
Stephen Chow, great dude.
Also did Shaolin Soccer. This is probably the movie that most Americans would know unless they're into foreign films.
It's definitely, it was, and it's also the biggest, like, so when Kung Fu Hustle came out, like he's the Spielberg of China.
He's very prolific, but this is the one that even if you're a
It's
casual
worldwide,
fan,
but
Yeah.
it's like this beat Shaolin Soccer as the biggest domestic grossing in China movie ever.
But before that, it was Shaolin Soccer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, think of him as the James Cameron or the Spielberg of China.
But a comedian.
But a jokester.
Right.
And stylistically, as we said off mic, I think he reminds Abe and I more of Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
Very, very Edgar Wright.
But with the cultural importance of a Spielberg to China, yes.
And I think he's funnier than Edgar Wright.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I like Edgar Wright.
Tit for tat, joke for joke.
Right, but I'm not laughing. Never will I go like at an Edgar Wright movie. I'll laugh, and that's how I laugh.
That's
I'm a
how you laugh.
monster.
Yeah,
I'm a
I was
monster,
gonna say
yeah.
I want to watch movies.
Yeah.
Hard disagree because of Hot Fuzz, but that's a different episode.
Yeah.
There are some gags in this movie that we'll talk about later that are just like, that was tonally perfect.
Yes.
That was just every beat of this gag was
it's Looney
a
fucking
gem.
Tunes.
Well,
Yeah.
you
It's
called
fucking
it. Sorry, I don't know the proper name of the Chinese fantasy.
Oh, so
genre.
wuxia, right?
Okay,
but this
so-
is also like this has wuxia elements. It has like what I'd call more straight up kung fu movie elements, more
Yes.
like Chinese action elements, more like so Chinese action is this massive like
umbrella
meta
genre,
right? Where there's like wuxia, and then there's sort of your more hardened.
There's like the
old
Jean-Claude
kung fu
Van Damme
movie,
equivalent
right.
where it's like, no, they don't have magic, they're shooting each other.
And they're
shit.
punching, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like the 1980s, like John Woo shit before he came
Yep.
over to America. Then there's like historical Chinese propaganda films, and like so this movie kind of has it all.
So that's my question:
Yeah.
is it? And just to, he has his own voice and tone, so you've got to
Absolutely.
just see Stephen Chow movies
Right.
and get a feel for them. But I'm also going to compare him to Tarantino in the sense that, or I'm asking you, who's better versed in wuxia,
Right.
because God of Cookery, his first domestic film, was also like, what if we made a wuxia movie about a chef?
Yeah.
That's a funny twist on the idea of chi
That's
and magic.
right.
And then he continued on that success with what if soccer players, what if it was like Bend It Like Beckham, but they did wire stunts and
Right.
had magic abilities. Did Stephen Chow, like, was that as revolutionary as it seems to me, or do we not know?
I think it's fair. Like I haven't seen a lot of this in
Of bringing,
other
like,
movies of
broad
like
comedy
the
into
broad
it.
comedy.
It's
I mean,
absolutely.
like I wouldn't describe a lot of Jackie Chan films as wuxia. They're like, I mean, it's an aqueous genre definition, but it's
Right.
more to me like that's just a straight
I
up like
think
martial
Jackie
arts like
Chan
kung
is
fu
more like
movie,
a John
right?
Wick. Like
Like-
Rumble in the Bronx is like a
They're
John
just-
Wick vibe.
I'm
Straight
thinking
actions.
of like old school Jackie Chan, like the original Drunken
Drunken Ma-
Master,
yeah.
like Fearless Hyena, like the really old school Jackie Chan
Those
stuff.
are still kind of wuxia.
They're like, there's no real magic ability outside of just being really good at fighting and pulling like kung fu shapes.
Yeah.
Right? Like no one has wire work abilities. No
That's
one
true.
like drunken boxing in
Yes.
those movies. Like, okay, so drunken boxing in I'm going deep cuts, but like Once Upon a Time in China, where Jet Li's playing the same guy Jackie Chan plays in
Right.
in Drunken Master.
Drunken Master.
Yeah.
That's more wuxia because he's like flying and pausing
Yeah.
people with pressure point hits. Drunken Master he just knows drunken boxing and it's like good at fighting.
And that's why I compare it to John Wick. It's
Right.
Jackie Chan, you're watching it to appreciate the time Jackie Chan spent learning how to do
Right,
this.
yeah.
Whereas I do feel like Stephen Chow has that. And in fact, I thought something I learned about Kung Fu Hustle this time that's very interesting to me is he had the humility, I would say, to have masters of wireworks stunt films.
Yeah, Yan Wu-ping was
direct
the
the fight
choreographer.
sequences. I assumed because he's such an auteur, he wanted to direct it all himself, but he stepped back and was like, no, when they fight, I don't want it to be like a funny version of a wuxia movie.
Right.
The wuxia parts need to be baller.
This needs to...
So we got real guys to come in and do it for him.
And then I'll do the comedic beats, like stepping on his toes, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the difference, or what makes wuxia is in the way that we have the Marvel universe. It's like Jackie Chan never does a thing where he's like, and now because I underwent this character transformation, I can summon a giant fist from the
I can do
sky.
something super magical, right? Like, so a lot of this movie is inspired by so there were two major production houses in Hong Kong in like the 70s. There's Shaw Bros, and everyone kind of knows that from 36 Chambers, right? And
I don't know
fuck, what was the Wu-Tang album? Liquid Sword.
Oh, okay.
Where they're just referencing kung fu movies nonstop.
Right, yep.
So that's mostly Shaw Bros shit. And then there's Golden Harvest, which is Jackie Chan's production house. That's where Bruce Lee came from. And a lot of people from those movies back in the 70s, the 80s show up in this. Like the two landlords are very much Golden Harvest people.
Didn't Sammy Chow was started, but then he had he had a sickness or something like that?
I'm not sure who Sammy Chow is.
He's the guy. He's in a lot of Jackie Chan movies. He's also in Ip Man.
Is it?
I think sometimes he goes by Sammy Hung. I think too as well.
Sammo Hung.
Sammo Hung. Sammo Hung started the whole thing. Right?
But then he was working on Kung Fu Hustle, had an
Was he working on
injury
Kung Fu Hustle? I didn't
or
realize.
had a medical related thing, and that's why the guy from
why Yan Wu-ping was the choreographer.
Wu-ping took over.
So Yan Wu-ping also Yan Wu-ping choreographed the original Drunken Master. All these dudes are sort of part of the same world, and it's so dope to watch them get together and almost make a spoof of their own shit.
So because we have all seen this movie many times and it's one of our favorite movies, I want to try and occasionally interject and remember that a lot of people listening don't know what the fuck.
Oh, let's talk about this movie.
It's not like this is Titanic.
Right.
No, I was just going to say you referenced the landlords, and so I think it's important to explain.
Okay.
And I do think that's something, again, not being well-versed enough in the totality of Chinese cinema.
Right.
I think you and I are a little above the curve than most of our audience.
I'm gonna say Stephen Chow.
I'm surprised.
This.
You're very good.
Right. I'm gonna say
this is my jam, man.
I'm gonna say Stephen Chow invented this, but I don't know that to be true. But it feels revolutionary to me that he has these landlord characters and the three other masters in the town.
Right.
Basically, a gang comes and threatens a small town, and then it turns out many people in the town, including the aging landlords who own the town.
It's more of a slum than a town.
Right. It's like a tenement block.
Right.
Is what it's called.
Are masters with incredible supernatural martial arts powers.
Right.
And what I love is that I don't feel like I see in Warriors of Zoo Mountain or anything or other wuxia stuff I've seen. It's basically saying I don't know, why can't an average looking out of shape guy have magic powers? And it's so fun. The fact that the landlord dude's power is that he's so lazy that he just kind of flops around.
So
that's his whole fighting style.
Yeah, it's just flopping.
That's actually, I was reading a lot about this. That's a joke more for the Chinese audience who really knows this shit.
That's what I feel.
That's really common in wuxia, is the person who is
water.
No, just dressed up like the normal guy and I'm just a normal person, and they're actually this heroic member of the martial world.
Yeah.
So it's pretty. It's not. This movie is very much its own beast, and he's taking things from different genres that wouldn't normally end up in Pigsty Alley.
It is original.
It's such an original remix, but that does happen in wuxia novels and movies where oh, you're just a normal guy. Who's this weird old hermit? It's almost like a Yoda kind of thing sometimes.
I'm actually the toad.
Right.
I'm most feared.
Most feared master. Yeah. And I love the two landlords. I love that when they find
lovers.
out, right? They're they're the lovers,
Yeah.
right? And they're a member of this martial world. who they're just like these
Like
fucking
assassins.
schmucks.
Everyone's heard of
right,
them,
but
though.
everyone's heard of them, and that's like such a hardcore wuxia trope of like, I've heard of you in the martial world. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you fucking heard of this dude. He's a fucking like
Yeah.
nobody, but it's
It's the
so
same as
funny.
Spy. It's when
right.
people go like, "Wait, you're James Bond," and it's like, no one's supposed to know his name. How come everyone knows who he is?
Right? How come everybody
I thought he
knows
was a fucking
you?
spy.
Right? He's a bad spy. He fucks too much to be a good spy.
Yeah.
I don't think you should leave your DNA that many places
That's
if you're
true.
a spy.
And I don't. It's very common in wuxia to have the plot line of, "I was a master, but
Now I
I'm just
stepped
sick
away."
of killing people
Right.
with my fists, so I want to lay low now. But I got,
Right.
you identified me. Now we have
Now
to
I
fight."
have to fight. My favorite current, like relatively recent wuxia movie is a remake of I think it was called Duel to Death, but it's based on one of the two biggest wuxia novelists is a dude named Gulong, and it's a remake of his novel, and it's called The Swordsman or The Swordsmaster, and that's the entire plot. Is like this one incredible swordmaster thinks like this other dude died and he was the only guy as good as him, so he's going insane, but that guy's actually just sick of killing and he's just become a normal guy, and like that's the whole narrative.
Yeah, because that's another classic trope of the
Yeah.
genre is the big bad at the end. His only motivation to fight
Just to know as if he's the win.
is
the best.
is that theoretically there's someone who's a challenge. I must fight them.
There's a
Yeah.
thing.
I love
yeah.
that it's like I have nothing against them and nothing to gain. That's just how these movies go.
I just need to know. There's this thing in wuxia where like I almost call it homo-romanticism, because one of the biggest directors in the genre, a lot of people think he was a closeted homosexual because it's always beautiful men like stabbing each other in the guts and spilling their blood in these like almost orgasmic
yeah.
scenes.
Yeah,
But,
you know, like how
yeah.
gay dudes they constantly stab each
Stab-
other.
Right, they constantly
in the
stab each
guts.
other in the guts and have like gut orgasms, but it's always about like two men who meet each other and they're like, "You're also an honorable kung fu master."
in a secret world that only we know
Right,
about.
like
Yeah.
you understand me.
Sure.
And this Kung Fu Hustle's got that too, with like the Toad when he sees how good Stephen Chow becomes, he's like, "Fucking finally, yeah!"
And even the lovers, when he realizes, "Oh, you're those fated lovers,
Yeah.
the masters." Respect.
Oh,
Like they're
right,
like
yeah.
into.
Right.
And I think American audiences, or at least I don't know, maybe this is just my experience, but I feel like most of us are first probably introduced to these tropes in Dragon Ball Z.
Yes,
It very
Dragon Ball
much-
Z is.
It has
yeah.
the feeling of like, what? We discovered this guy. He has 11,000 power.
Respect.
Weird, but
Yeah.
respect though.
Anime and wuxia share a lot of similar tropes. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the cultures are sort of amorphous
Yes.
between Chinese and Japanese fiction.
But I do think it's important to hit on the different aspects of bringing, because Stephen Chow is also well versed in global pop culture and
Yes.
American culture.
Yeah.
And if you
Specifically comedy, but
Yeah.
Yes.
all over the place.
but if you
Right.
haven't seen this movie and you're like, because Mike and we don't broadcast like I like a lot of anime. I mean, Princess Mononoke may be my number one film, but we aren't like manga nerds or anything like
No.
before. But so I want people who haven't seen the movie to understand the other ingredients in the mix
There's so
that
many
make this so
ingredients.
special.
Yeah.
Because so Abe, you referenced Looney Tunes. Can you speak to what you meant by
Oh,
that?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, let's just take it by a scene.
All right.
And you know what scene we all want to talk about? The fucking
Knife throwing
Knife
scene?
God, I
Scene.
fucking love that scene.
Okay,
Oh my God.
that is
if
Looney
you could
Tunes.
bring the Marx Brothers, Charlie Chaplin, and Buster Keaton back from the dead
For one
and they
scene.
saw this scene, they would all go respect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
it's like the Toad seeing the lovers of like, yeah, I want to
Yep.
fight you.
Yeah.
yeah, it's Looney Tunes. It's a bunch of things, but the reason it's Looney Tunes, and as soon as I thought of another sequence that is the greatest.
Is it
Looney
wait?
Tunes.
Is it the fire sequence?
No,
The fire in the car is my favorite.
You know what? One of the
The
before
chair-
I
the
jump
running?
in, before we jump into
Okay, okay.
because I know we want to talk about the knife scene. I know. Before we jump in, I want to explain the tone and answer your question. A better example of it, because it's clearly just it, is when it's at the beginning of the movie when they finish the haircut and Singh comes out. And he's trying to pick a fight with everyone to show that like they're a part of the action.
Our
And
hero
so
Singh.
he has to
right.
choose people from the audience to fight. And it goes from hey, you young woman, or you old woman, you come fight me. And she's like a farmer. You don't know this at the time. And she just clocks him, and he spits blood out. And he's like, okay, what's your job? And she's like, I'm a farmer. And then sends him back.
And
she sends him away.
Again, because using the same logic.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, well, I'm too high class.
Yeah,
right,
to fight a farmer.
yeah.
So he's like, how about you, old man? And of course, the group
Crowd
of people parts, and
You just hit- you saw it,
super
right.
buff old man with glasses comes out. And he's like, no, sit down, old man. I'm not gonna do that. He's like, you kid, an even buffer kid comes out.
The kid's like 8.
It's the head
He's
of an
like
8-year-old
Right.
boy on like a super swole body.
Like a longshoreman's body.
I forgot one,
Which is
there's-
literally like an
Yeah.
Elmer Fudd joke.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot one. There's one earlier, which is just the short man who
Right.
stands up and he's like 9 feet tall.
He'd just been sitting on a stool because he was too tall
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's Looney Tunes in that it's like a Rolodex of like slapstick jokes. It's a constant like barrage of just like playing with reality, really, too. Because like something I blaze past is that when he gets punched and he spits out blood from a single. He's not like immediately fine, but he goes like, "Oh, all right. How about you now?"
Yeah.
It's like he's fine, and that's the world we're kind of occupying. Is that people will like do things that are like amazingly like only tunes can do,
Right.
And like I don't know who
They'll
framed
Space
Robert
Jam
Rabbit,
it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
But then
Space Jam shit
it's
in this,
fine,
yeah.
But then other times there are real stakes, so that's the
Right.
mishmash
Yeah.
And what I was
tone
going
that
to say
he's
is
good
what's
at.
so brilliant about it is he found a way to make that a plot point. You think that Sing, the protag,
Right.
you're like, oh, he can get stabbed in a scene and then he's fine in the next scene because we're in a cartoon universe. Then there's a scene where and again, another reason I always think Edgar Wright is he has like a Nick Frost, there's a very Simon Pegg, Nick Frost buddy couple in it.
There is.
And his Nick Frost guy is like, it's weird how you always heal so fast. And I was like,
Oh,
you're
shit.
gonna
I
fold
didn't
it
even
in?
pick up on that.
This is
Yeah.
going to be a thing? Yeah, because, of course, he's destined to be the chosen one.
Right, because his body works at a better
Yeah.
It circulates chi better than any
Right.
other
One in a
body.
million.
Right, 1 in a
Or whatever.
million.
To
Kung
me,
Fu
part of the
masters.
brilliance of the movie is, and that's why it reminds me of an Edgar Wright or even Arrested Development level of like attention to detail, is he realized Looney Tune characters can do magical stuff. Wuxia characters can do magical
Right.
stuff.
Ah,
And
shit.
this weird combination gives you
Right.
scenes that are so powerful where like the landlady chases him out of town early on and they
it's
literally
literally
run
Roadrunner.
with the Looney Tunes
Right.
legs going
Like-
and in retrospect
They also do ski hops, like in
Yeah.
the
Oh,
midair,
yeah.
like do tricks and like hold.
in retrospect, it's actually literally impossible to tell. Was she running at super speed and he was running at super speed because they both turn out to be chi masters?
Right.
Was it a visual metaphor of just a Looney Tunes way to shoot a running sequence?
Oh,
or a
shit.
combination of both? And the point is, he realized he could invent this magical world where it could be both or
Michael,
neither, and
that's
it
a
doesn't
fucking
matter.
level I wasn't even.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
just straight
Because-
up gag.
Because it's all gags, but it's also if you
The
look
synergy.
at it, the ending part of that sequence, you have to take it for what it's worth, which is she runs into like billboard,
right.
and like all and that's how he gets away.
But also,
So
her
it's-
like underwear flies off like a Looney
right,
Tunes
right. So
character.
it's still all
Yeah.
wrapped in this Looney Tunes like wrapper, but you're supposed to believe that these events happened, and he's not like. I think if we were to ask him, like, so are they gods? Are they Looney Tunes? Or like, what are they?
Yeah.
He's like, yes,
All
yes,
of
they
that.
are.
all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome to me. Just the core realization that Looney
Huh.
Tunes basically have fully unlocked their chi.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Because they can stretch, they can't die.
Right,
Like,
they're part of the the Ome clan, and they've
Yeah.
been like masters this whole time. There's one other gag I want to talk about
Please.
in this so bad that isn't like about being
No,
masters
go
at
for
all.
it.
It's
Pivot.
So like the Axe Gang. So the first act or so of the movie. Sing, our main character, accidentally brings like the Hatchet Gang down onto Pigsty Alley, and the Hatchet Gang is like running the city there's a lot of debate about what city this is. In my mind, it's so very much Hong Kong, but everyone on the internet is like, no, this is Shanghai. And I'm like, why? They're speaking Cantonese, but it doesn't matter. So they bring the Hatchet Gang, who's like the criminal gang that's running the city, like down onto Pigsty Alley. And then you find out they're all these like masters of Kung Fu who live in Pigsty Alley, who fight back, whatever, but they all sort of get their asses kicked. And then the landlords turn out to be like the mastery masters of the whole thing, and they at one point fight back against some of the Axe Gang's worst killers, and then go up to like the leader of the Axe Gang and just threaten the fuck out of him and scare him so much. And then he and like his toady are like, okay, let's drive away. And his toady sees that he's really upset, and he's like, boss, do you want a cigarette? And so he lights his boss's cigarette, and they're just in this car, and then they just catch on fire as the car is driving.
They're so scared that their hands are shaking so much that when it takes him 10 tries to light the cigarette, and then when the guy's smoking the cigarette, he's shaking so much he drops it in his own lap.
And they just start burning, and it's like, this isn't really important to the plot, but it's just
funny.
So funny to watch these schmucks just like burn in the back of a car, like trying to put the fire out.
Stephen Chow. It's the kind of things he thinks are funny are on some level for me the kind of stuff that I think is like he gets me is like one of those things that you get with some, and I'm sure he gets a lot of people, but like there's little things that happen, like when Singh gets his face just pummeled into the ground before he gets cocooned and turned into a Zen master.
Yeah.
His response is to like shakily grab the handle and just
splinter
and throw it at his head and just thwap. Like it's gonna help.
Right.
It's those kind of little types of like it's almost anarchist in its way. It's like it's saying like nothing matters, and why is it funny? Because I don't know, it looks funny. He did it in Shaolin Soccer 2 as well with the eggs. Like I'm just gonna just. Why did you do that? There's no logical reason as a filmmaker, storyteller. It doesn't have any value other than the joke, and you're already killing it in the jokes. Why did you add that prolonged sequence? Because I thought it was funny.
And I think that's why it makes our minds go to Edgar Wright somewhat is, and just as comedians, we respect so much that it's so thoroughly Rolodexed.
Yeah.
Like in the knife throwing scene that I guess we'll just save for the end.
Let's just do it
let's
now.
talk about
in
it.
the knife, what's impressive to me about the knife throwing sequence is if in Cracked we had been told there has to be a scene where he throws knives and he fails.
Yeah.
We would have Rolodexed as hard as we could every possible way you could fail at that in a funny way, and we would have probably landed on mostly all the same things they do in this scene. It's like so thorough in the Looney Tunes way where you're like, the elements are simple and it's this iterative process. Well, the first knife he throws ricochets and it hits him, and you're like, okay, well, that's the gimme, but where do we go from here?
Right.
So now he's got a knife sticking out of his body.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like,
There's one knife. All right. Okay. This changes things a little.
so then you have the buddy say, well, for your protection, I'll throw the next knife. And when he rears back, it stabs him because he lets go of the knife on his backswing and then like pulls the knife out of his wound to throw it again and then puts it back when he's like, why did you take the knife out of my wound?
I do love this is another Stephen Chow joke, just adding another layer that makes it funny, which is that the landlady gets hit with the handle and say, hey, who's throwing these handles? Like it's just a funny line.
Yeah.
Right. And then and then it's so classic. It's nice to me to know that some comedic sensibilities transcend culture, where it's like, what do you do for the third beat? Well, what any good comedian would do, completely break the system in a way where the people go, oh, I didn't think that was going to happen, which is, well, the fourth time he tries to throw the knife, a basket of snakes falls on him.
There's just like a basket of snakes.
No, he's like, I have no more knives now.
Right.
So he throws the basket of snakes, but then he rears it back and it falls on him. They have to one-up that by saying like, oh shit, now the snakes are an issue. Now I have to deal with that issue. What do you do to snakes? I hear that singing to them. Whistling.
Starts whistling to the snakes.
Will like be okay. So he's like, it doesn't hurt to try. He tries it immediately. The snakes just all bite him.
As fast as like how fast Peter Griffin falls down in Family Guy.
Right.
He purses his lips and snakes like mousetrap onto his mouth.
The worst thing you could have done.
The comedic sensibilities of the pacing, the editing, the movie's so well edited. I just got to say when this movie came out, if you're still not convinced to see this and you haven't seen it, Bill Murray, this is a Bill Murray quote, Kung Fu Hustle is the supreme achievement of the modern age in terms of film comedy. We should have had a day of mourning for American comedy the day that Kung Fu Hustle came out. It's that funny.
It's so funny, but we're not done with the knife stuff yet, because when the landlady chases him, there's a moment where they're running on the highway at top speed, and he looks so a knife is in his shoulder.
He's now used it as a story device.
Right, he uses the knife as a rear view mirror to see her approaching on him, and it's like they remembered that the knife is there.
The thoughtfulness of using, and that is a comedian's instinct. Like, can we use this again?
Right.
It's in his shoulder. Can it do something else?
Right. How can it be helpful?
And in that same scene you were talking about where they shake and catch themselves on fire, the landlady doesn't speak. She just magically appears and looks at them to threaten them, and that's what scares them.
Right.
She does beat for beat exactly what Bruce Lee does.
Yeah.
In
Right,
the Dragon
with the
to
nose
scare
and-
someone.
yeah.
So it's like, if you were steeped in Chinese, the more steeped in Chinese culture you are, the more you notice. There's even tiny jokes in almost every frame. Everything is thorough as fuck.
To stay on the Bruce Lee train, so Bruce Lee mostly worked with one director and choreographer, Lo Wei, and there is a scene shot for shot, almost every Bruce Lee movie before, and there are only 3, but all of the Bruce Lee movies do the same thing where he's surrounded by bad guys and he just does these spinning heel kicks and looks like, I'm the toughest guy here.
Yeah.
And Stephen Chow just does that to the nth degree. And it's like, oh, this would just look like a fun beat in a fight.
I just want to be Bruce Lee.
Right. Or no, this is him just making fun of Bruce Lee choreography right now.
Yeah.
It's also there's the lovers who are also intrinsically tied with this Bruce Leeism that we're talking about are dancing the cha-cha. And
he was a
at
cha-cha
one point,
dancer.
And he was a cha-cha dancer.
Yeah.
It's just little nuances that are
so
you
good.
take I'm glad we started with that stuff because that stuff is important to show that he's doing this in his own culture. He's not just a regurgitation of global culture, because I don't know, Western cinema, we like to kind of think about
we're
ourselves
the
as
cinema,
about that. But it's not just that. He says, there's a quote that's used: "With great power comes great responsibility."
This is very Spider-Man reference.
This movie, it was made after Spider-Man. Quote, "What are you prepared to do?" is direct reference to the Untouchables.
Yeah.
We talked about Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. Singh arrives at the door to the Beast's cell. It's funny that you guys are calling him the Toad, because that's his.
No, I know.
What
He's really
he's
called
called
the
the Beast. Yeah.
Oh, right.
He arrives at the cell at the mental asylum. He hallucinates a large wave of blood rushing from the cell door. So
The Shining.
The
It's
Shining.
the Shining shot.
So there's just the harpists imitate the Blue Brothers. They even say, strictly
you're right.
speaking, we're just musicians, which is a line said by El.
So I love that he's also.
Fuck. That's
it's
a
as
Blues
if,
Brothers reference. I didn't even, because I was like, oh, what is this from a Jin Yong novel? And it's like, he's just doing the fucking Blues
The
Brothers.
Matrix
And I don't
is in
think it's
there.
The Matrix
fair to
is all
say
over there.
That level of literacy in narrative across the globe, I don't think it's untoward to say this movie to me is an achievement on the level of Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce, where it's he had to be fluent in 9 different levels of cultural trope to make this movie.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'll never see every joke in the movie because I would have to learn Chinese to see every joke in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just
so
mind-blowing.
deep, the levels of jokes in
And then
this.
here's why I love that. Sorry, I'm just.
No,
we're all
but go to
gushing.
town,
We're all
man.
gushing. But the reason why it's so well done is that you take exactly what you just said, exactly what we've all been saying. How do we introduce Singh in this movie? There's a bunch of kids playing soccer. That was his last smash hit. He steals, which is so good because it does 2 things. It's not only him commenting on him as a director, but he's commenting and doing the storytelling that's necessary for us to introduce the character, which is he is going to pick fights with kids. But his line is actually a meta conversation about where he is saying, I'm done with Shaolin soccer. So he stops the soccer ball, pops the soccer ball as the kids cry and says, no more soccer.
Which it works perfectly, so seamlessly that you don't.
Notice.
It takes a moment for you to realize, but it's whoa, wow, he did Shaolin Soccer, was the highest grossing film in Chinese history. He played the main character as he often does in his own films. So this is, you're seeing, that's him again. And he's literally going, because he did a Shaolin Soccer too, also,
Right.
that he didn't really want to, but he felt like he had to. So this is him straight up being like, new
No
movie,
more.
different movie.
I want to do what I want to
Right.
do,
And
which
I
is
love-
everything.
And I love that Shaolin Soccer is, I would say, a much more traditional rom-com where his character is crafted to be likable, awkward nerd who finally gets the girl because he has a good heart, and all along the power was in him all along. I love that he's like, this guy's a dick.
He's like a bad man.
and
He wants to be.
and it's
that.
clear that Stephen Chow is like, I just wanted to play with a different kind of character. So, newsflash. Yeah, it's me again. I know you know what I look like. I know you're very familiar with me. But in this movie, I'm going to play a dick. It's different. And he's just so confident in crafting and communicating with you where, like, we're going here now. This is happening now.
The love story in this movie is awful but also hilarious, and it is so tone perfect to like all the awkward saccharine like love stories injected into like 80s kung fu movies. That's like, this doesn't need to be there. And I think he like, if you watch it from the outside and you're like, why is this here? It sucks. If you watch it with that mindset of like, this fucking hates itself, right? This is parodying itself so hard. It's so good.
And yet I gotta point out that like it's so different than something like a scary movie because by the one token they'll have those scenes where they're basically mocking how dated Bruce Lee's choreography has become as time has moved on. Although I'm sure they
still
respect
amazing,
Bruce Lee,
you know?
but
Yeah.
But then I think a natural reaction as an audience member would be like when you see Scary Movie, you're like, yeah, but try to make a good movie. You guys wouldn't be able to. This sucks.
Yeah.
He's like, now there's also going to be scenes like when the musicians fight the three masters.
Awesome.
You're like, this is as good as a quote unquote real Bruce Lee movie.
So
this scene is amazing.
I said this before we were rolling, but to me, Kung Fu Hustle is the One Punch Man of Chinese martial arts cinema.
Yeah.
Where One Punch Man is fucking hilarious. If you've seen it, it's like a manga, but it's also tone perfect. And there are moments where like, this is fucking Dragon Ball Z level awesome.
It can transition between doing it in a way where it's winking, like, you know how these kung fu things go.
Right.
And then immediately switch to a scene where you're like, no, now we really are a kung fu movie. Be serious for a second.
Yeah.
That's a question I want to ask you because it's not. He doesn't stop even there because I'm glad you brought up the love story, but there's moments where like in Pigsty Alley, two things happen that are right embedded in between scenes, like two scenes that happen, and they're both embedded between scenes that are comedy, like hilarious, like some of the best jokes. One of them is like the knife scene and stuff like that, where like the Axe Gang is literally takes a woman and a child and is about to dousing them in gasoline,
burn them
about to
alive.
burn them. We see a picturesque like shot of like when we infer that one of the masters gets beheaded because we see a cat getting bisected in shadow.
That was such a cool
How
shot.
do you take?
Sorry, dude, but yeah.
It's
No, I
so-
have to take a moment. The sequence for the musician, the idea to use score as a weapon so that as the fight intensifies, the score necessarily intensifies.
Yeah.
It's the finest action sequence
It's
for my money
really
in
cool.
film.
Yeah.
is the musician fight
Right.
in
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
And we can talk about whatever we want. I just want to finish and
Sure.
I just want to say how it's more of a question. How is he so able to smack all of these tones together? These bombastic, like hilarious tones that are irreverent and seem to be going anywhere that he wants to be. A love story that seems to be, like archaic but updated. And also kind of tugs at your heartstrings at times.
It got me.
Yeah,
I gotta
it got
say,
me.
the love story works.
The lollipop stuff works.
And Lolly specifically, also I love that on top of everything, he's a master filmmaker, so he knows how to use iconography so well.
Yeah.
Like, I love the idea that he one day had the thought, the relationship is the lollipop, and he uses it so well.
Yeah, it's
in
an
that
intertwined
way.
circle where they're orbiting each other. Is also the makeup of an lollipop. And also just like how... So you have these horrible deaths or like promises of violence that are horror. They kill people with axes.
Yeah,
like
so brutal.
And you smash these all together. Like usually, we're worried when we're like, "Is this too much? Is that too dark for this movie?"
We ask
He's
ourselves
just
that
like,
a lot.
no, nothing's too dark for the movie. Nothing, and you can put it right next to that scene if
Right.
you want to.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know a lot of directors who could be like, here, a joke about a guy's arms stretching out because it got run over by a steamroller, like a Looney Tune. Now, the main character is going to be very disappointed and upset with himself, and you're going to feel how frustrated and
Yeah.
sad he is.
That is-
You're like, how'd you do both in such quick succession?
That scene where he's so frustrated, I just want to jump on this quick because like there isn't a lot. The narrative, you feel it, but it's not really. There isn't tons there. That scene where he's disappointed with himself in the water tower
Or in the
light,
traffic
the
light.
traffic thing.
Yeah.
You're like, you don't get too much of Singh's progression, and then you just are suddenly in it because Stephen Chow in that moment is acting his fucking ass off.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm so there with him because of his acting.
And the layering of techniques in this film is such that that's also the very first scene where he does something supernatural. So you're like experiencing it on the emotional level, and at the exact same moment, like you said with the soccer ball, it achieves multiple things
Right.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
You're also going, how come his hands are denting the thing?
Right.
You're like, your brain is activated on the plot level. Your heart
Yeah.
is activated on the acting level. It's dense.
It's got a
dick
little
is
like
activated
on the
this is
dick
awesome
level.
We have entered the dick level.
Can we also like another one of this smashing together of tones that just because we're all just randomly gonna think of idea like here's a moment that wasn't
Right,
that funny
yeah.
when he's berating deaf mute woman
Who he doesn't recognize
doesn't
as his
recognize.
crush from
Right.
childhood.
stealing ice cream and money from her, and then as he's driving away on the back of a trolley, is laughing like a maniacal maniac, and then he's just dripping ice cream from his maw. It's so funny.
In a movie that's so crafted, because again, this involves intricate action sequences, so it's way more crafted than your average comedy needs to be.
Yeah.
Yet he still allows himself the joy and freedom to do the kind of shit that Frank would do on Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
right, yeah.
Like, what if I just open my mouth and let the ice cream fall out for no reason? Because that would be weird and gross. And you're like, yes, Stephen Chow, do ravish me. Do whatever you want, Stephen
Take me,
Chow.
Stephen. Take me, Daddy.
Like, to realize that he's also the star of all these, it's like if Steve Carell wrote The Office also. I can't get over.
It's like, but if The
How-
Office was a parkour TV show,
Yeah, like if The Office included the battle at King's Landing and Steve Carell wrote it and achieved the special effects himself. You're like, fucking A, dude.
It's like
What are you?
Yeah.
He's like Donald Glover levels of. That's not
that's
fair.
that's a
Why
good
can you
comparison.
do everything?
Right, where he's like truly so many different levels of skill.
like I'm glad you because if it was like Lord of the Rings or something like that, it would be how Legolas and Gimli have like their
The little goof
their
buddy
little goose,
thing.
like I'm
yeah.
killing more than you
Right.
are. Like what if also in that movie like Legolas every now and then just sack taps Gimli, or something like that. Just sack taps him to try to get an upper advantage.
My dwarf balls.
Yeah, it's like it has no problem playing in the lowest of the low to
Yeah.
achieve the highest of the highs.
Question, because they're short but they're stout. Do you think dwarf balls bigger than a human's balls or
Huge.
smaller?
Bigger.
than
Much, much bigger.
No, I think they're the normal size height-wise, but much wider.
Thicker,
They're
which
wide
sucks
balls.
because they have wide thighs
Like,
too.
like owl's eyes, like
Sure.
a cylinder of ball.
All right.
Okay, all right.
What else about this
What
movie?
else about this movie is awesome?
I think we're done.
No,
I'm
but
just-
it layers the comedy level, the emotional level.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Alex, that the love story is simple. It's the kind of love story a comedy would have. And yet the mere fact that he's a director who cares about shot and uses visual symbology, I do think elevates it. Like you only need to know 4 beats of their love story, which does mean by definition, it's not a very nuanced love
No,
story.
it's pretty simple.
But it works on a symbolic level.
Right.
She represents the innocence of when he was a kid and did want to be good. And now his whole thing is, it's so
wants to
funny
be
because
bad.
it's the basic narrative from Singh's point of view is, what if a guy who wanted to be the godfather was such a comedic fuck up that he became Superman. Like that he wanted to be evil.
Right.
And he's so bad at being evil that he becomes the greatest hero in the world. Have you seen have you followed all the Stephen Chow
Journey
stuff
to the
now?
West?
I have seen his Journey to the West.
Journey to the West is
it's
also great.
Got some fucking gags in that one. I've only seen it once.
Sure.
I really love the... There definitely like stuff in Stephen Chow movies that wouldn't fly here. Like I love the fat woman gag.
And the people getting cooked inside pig carcases.
That's just straight up like kind of Chinese like cinema.
It is, but I do think American
like,
audience would be more like, whoa,
who? Fuck. Like that's straight from the Monkey King. Like that's
Totally.
a big part of it.
In the same movie with a man with a gigantic foot.
Okay, I was gonna say his
Or
name is
tiny
like
foot.
I forget his name. It's like King Handsome or something. But in Journey to the West, it's
Prince
like
Handsome or
a
something?
guy named Prince Handsome who has one tiny foot, like a baby's foot on his leg. It's so weird, but awesome.
He likes that weird shit.
Well, and it's also like I try to imagine how weird it would be because, like we were talking about before we hit record,
Right.
we think of we take for granted that fantasy, speaking of Lord of the Rings, when American or like Western European people say fantasy,
Right.
they mean like orcs, elves, humans, and dwarves. And there's dragons probably. And you think, I guess that's just what fantasy is. But no, it's not. You
Right.
take that for granted. That's why I'm so fascinated, like, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, like the magical realism,
Right.
anything from a culture that's not mine, where I see what do they take for granted as their fantasy tropes.
Yeah.
So it's always so fucking cool, just because it's novel.
Right.
So like, if you really get into Chinese fantasy film,
Right.
you'll see so many references to the Monkey King.
Like there's there's a lot of references
is
to the Monkey King, to Redcliffe, to like Outlaws of the Marsh. There are like these 3 books that are just referenced non-fucking stop. Where
And just like an American film will be like, they're a mutant, they have superpowers, and we take that for granted.
Right,
It's like that happens.
yeah.
They'll do that with,
Right.
they have chi, they unlock their chi, so they have superpowers.
Yeah. They studied at Shaolin Temple. They're like from the Wu-Tang Clan. You know. Yeah.
And I love just comparing how every culture loves fantasy,
Right.
and how every culture takes their own fantasy tropes for granted, and that's why you can have these things where like Americans will see Japanese commercials and go, Japanese people are crazy. And Japanese people will see like an American commercial for Mountain Dew or that fucking Quiznos ad with the flash
Right.
art and be like, Americans are fucking crazy.
It's fun. It's fun to play is weird, but to like try to exist as best you can in another culture's fantasy and like fall in love with it. Because like wuxia is one of my favorite genres, but I still feel sometimes a total outsider to it, right? Like I'll be reading, I've started reading one of the most famous wuxia novels ever. It was finally translated into like English in a good translation, and I've been reading it, and like I love some passages, and then some passages feel like some fucking Hardy Boys ass shit. Like this is so corny that this dude's just running around like now he's Genghis Khan's best friend, and it's like this is goofy ass
Forrest
shit.
Gumping Chinese history,
just like it's Forrest Gumping Chinese history, and like this is some goofy shit. But like you're like, yeah, but this isn't like the shit I grew up with is goofy too. Like I'm sure if someone from a different culture is reading Stormlight Archives, they're like, this is dumb. This is fucking dumb.
Imagine being like truly, because I kind of am an outsider to this, or I'm able to inhabit this brain space. The fact that the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I know I am a nerd and I like comics, so don't at me like I'm like trying to make you feel bad for your hobby or fandom. But I do understand the point of view where people like, if you didn't take it for granted, it would almost seem like, is everyone brainwashed in America? Or like,
right.
What? All the adults are watching a thing about which person in spandex can punch the hardest?
Yeah.
That's what all the adults spend most of their money on. And you're
right.
like, why? That's like a child's story.
Yeah,
what are you talking
think
about?
like an alien.
Yeah. And yet, one of my favorite, or the aspect that engages that nerd part of me that does love that, is like another thing about Kung Fu Hustle is when you learn about the different masters and their different abilities and the names of their moves, it feels very much like when I first discovered the X-Men.
Right.
It was like, you know what's so cool about it, Dad? It's that this guy has this powers, but this guy has this powers, and this chick has this power.
Categorical fantasy is just like, you just get to enjoy what, like, it's instead of dinosaurs. It's like this guy does this, and
Yep.
he's the spearmaster, and he's the Hungar master. You can tell because of the rings on his arms,
Right.
And it's like,
yeah, these
I'm
three are
literally-
from this school, so
Right.
they overlap in this style. This guy doesn't do that style at
he's
all.
very different.
I'm literally going through this right now because I just started watching Neon Genesis.
Oh
Evangelion.
shit! I haven't watched that
Yeah. Or
is
at
that
all.
the
I hear it's
sequel?
amazing.
I don't, well, it's like I started watching it. I'm like a few episodes in, and I'm like, God damn it! You had to go and do something really good.
like, now you have
I
to
was
care.
Like, now I'm gonna be a fucking guy who likes anime.
Oh yeah, I love that's also interesting. One that I always thought as a kid, it took me a while to get used to. I was like, I said to a Japanese friend of mine at school, like, how come every anime has giant robots that form into a bigger giant robot? And he was like, I don't know. How come every American movie has a cop going rogue, just like shoot people in the face because he's off the force? And I'm like, oh yeah. Every culture just lands on stuff
that's
that becomes
weird.
a staple of their
right.
stuff.
And
yeah.
this is just our thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's fun to like watch the different sort of like roots that all bleed into the one.
Right.
Like
Right.
now, this is our trope. Like I bet there was big robots in a Godzilla thing, and then there was
And then
some
it
other
got-
big robots.
It inspired
and then
Transformers.
Right.
And now our two cultures are on the same page with giant robots. We all like
We
giant
all
Right,
robots.
yeah, we
good.
all like giant robots.
But like it took getting to know each other through culture to.
I mean,
it's
yeah,
funny.
that's what it's all about.
And then,
is
of
like,
course, what's
you don't
his
think
name?
about it until you get exposed to
Guillermo
other
del
cultures.
Toro?
and
yeah,
then
it
you
was
go,
like
Yeah.
add Godzilla to that. And I thought that was one of the worst movies. in the
I
last
didn't like
10
Pacific
years.
Rim.
Pacific Rim
Yeah.
sucks.
My buddy and I got in like a big sort of tough tussle, whatever, about it, where like he was like, that was great, and I was like, it kind of was really stupid.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it was like fun, but I think it's almost the same way I am with like, if I saw a bad wuxia movie, I'd still be like, no, but you like, if you like the genre, you know, like,
Yeah.
okay, so this guy's like that guy, and like,
I love nerd shit,
Yeah.
and yet I have found that's a real divisive one. Is
Pacific Rim,
nerds will be like,
or defending.
and by nerd I just mean
Right.
people who love sci-fi, fantasy,
Right.
comic books will be like either Pacific Rim fits right in there, it was great, or like Pacific Rim was some cash grab pandering bullshit,
Right.
man.
Yeah. It is that divide on like what's like a good sort of homage and then what's trash shit is like
Yeah. To me,
'Cause-
it's like Pride and Prejudice
Yeah.
and zombies. Fuck you. If you want my money that bad, just break into my house. And
Right.
Like, god damn
See,
you.
The best part of all of this, though, is that, God damn it, this is the second time I've said new wave in today.
Just
and now
do
I'm
it.
pissed.
Just keep
saying it.
new wave. The new wave version of it, like the Chinese new wave.
Right.
Because now we're all infecting each other with our ideas. Because
we're all infecting each other with our gross trash DNA.
So like Western arc with the hero myth,
Right.
Eastern hero myth. There's a lot of big differences. One of them, for example, is that the Western, you like take any fucking hero story or comedy, Liar Liar or some
Right.
shit like that. He has to be humbled, right?
yeah.
In Legend of Drunken Master, Jackie Chan just has to be shamed. Like it's less about and then it's about the vigilance of hard work,
Yeah.
but it's not about learning their lesson over and over and over. It's about slapping your hand and then doing the right and doing the right thing.
Right.
So
And- yeah,
they're
go ahead.
slightly different about that. Now, when we look at Kung Fu Hustle, the reason I keep thinking about it is because I thought the same thing about like when I tried to watch other like animes from Japan.
Uh-huh.
Some of them were just like, this ain't working on me because I don't know why we're doing like, why
Right.
is it a big baby, and then stuff like that. Like, it's not just like the scene to scene.
I don't know which specific anime you're talking about, but like that
But I
works
do
a
like
lot.
when they're
Like, why is
uh,
it a big baby?
or
Is
when
like
you have
for a
that
lot of
impulse,
anime.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, explain why the Monkey King, and they're like,
Yeah.
dude, if you were
Yeah,
steeped in
exactly.
this culture, you wouldn't
You
need
would
to
need
ask
to
Right.
ask
why the
that
Monkey
shit.
Yeah.
King.
That shit, I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the point being is that they have all their differences and they have all the things that they choose to focus on time and time again as we make these movies over and over inside their own kind of cultural bubble. But then when the bubble kind of expands into each other and there's more of a Venn diagram, you get Stephen Chow
Zen
movies,
diagram.
and you get
The Zen
animes
diagram
like
is nothing.
Yeah, the Zen. You get more of like animes like Cowboy Bebop or something like that, where it's
Right.
like, oh, this feels like a Western
Right.
arc. And then you get this
and
kind
it
of
takes
one.
jazz, which is an American, art form as part of its thing. Yeah.
And when we get to Kung Fu Hustle, I think it knows that it's for worldwide distribution at this point. And it is more of a Western arc than it is an Eastern arc.
It does,
and that was interesting.
Have that hero rises thing that feels. I feel like anime does that a lot now, but I don't know if that was always baked in. But the hero rises feels so Western of like the music swell, like, and suddenly Neo is, you know?
There's a little bit, it's suddenly he's Neo now. There's a little bit of the Eastern holding on stuff like randomly he'll just decide to show us things like he's in the stoplight bin or whatever that it is, and he's
Crow's
like, and
nest.
so you're like, okay, suddenly things are supernatural. It's easy to chalk it up to just like what we were talking about earlier in this hour, where it's just Looney Tunes or just slapstick of tone. But I think there's something deeper going on here, which is the amalgamation of the hero, like what we dwell on in our heroes, and both typically Eastern and Western historically, and how it's unionizing and becoming kind of like an all myth, and that is something that is kind of profound to me.
Well, not to get too edgy, but that's you view the same thing where
Boobies.
you're like, some religions sort of converge ultimately to the same underlying structural myth and like found each other. Where it's like, it's interesting how historically religions totally separated for thousands of years can have such strikingly similar story beats, and you're like, that must be indicative of something about human nature that's universal.
These sort of cyclical.
Although I do love that. I do feel like it comes more from the Chinese storytelling tradition, at least in one aspect that I think is interesting. And of course, things are not monolithic, so there's exceptions to all these things. But in Western stories, the hero usually decisively crushes the villain in a way where the villain suffers or is literally dead, or leaves the movie, forget about them. They suck. They fall in a mud puddle. Like, I mean, in UHF, it's like, we kick him in the balls and he falls in a mud puddle. Fuck that guy.
We did it.
And I love it's much more of an Eastern storytelling tradition, which Kung Fu Hustle is true to, which is basically, rather than having to, it's the opposite of being humbled. You are humble. You slowly realize that through internal work, you can become the best version of yourself. And then you become so amazing that you don't need to flex. And you can go to the villain and go, hey, man, you don't have to be a dick. I don't have to be a dick. Like, I love, and it's not a very Western storytelling trope that the end of this is the beast who you do hate. He's a fucking dick. Finally just goes, how'd you do that amazing move? And he goes, I'll teach you if you want. And I love, my Western storytelling brain was like, don't teach the bad guy the
punish
super
him.
move.
Yeah.
In Speed 2, he's going to kill Sandra Bullock with that move. But then I realized, no, in Eastern storytelling tradition, the fact that he's reaching out to the villain means that the villain is not going to be a villain anymore. It's Abraham Lincoln. Like, the best way to destroy your enemy is make him your friend.
It's beautiful, of course, of the device that fans out and that gives does the poison dart. He then takes it and then just spins it, and then that's kind of how
becomes a flower.
It becomes a flower, and then in a perfect Stephen Chow moment, you're looking at this glorious stage of like him in his epicness, this blue, like wonderfully like Forrest Gump floating
a brass
petal,
flower floating away.
His villain at his feet, and Stephen Chow looks over and notices that the lovers are watching him and just waves.
That's so
hey, what's
funny.
up?
Just like ruins the moment entirely.
And a great joke is then they go, because the reason they stumped for him so hard is they had a son that's roughly his age. They're like, look at him, man, if our son had lived, he'd be about that age. And they go, a repeated line from earlier in the movie, he shouldn't focus on Kung Fu, though. Oh, I agree. He should study hard. He could be a lawyer or a doctor. And the guy goes, probably a stuntman. Which is even a reference to Stephen Chow was an accomplished stuntman before he got his
all
first
of these.
movie.
So
all
the
of the people
two
who were
landlords. So the two landlords are Yun Wan, Yun Chill. Sorry, everybody. I can't speak a bit of Cantonese, and my Mandarin is fucking garbage. So I'm doing the best I can. But they're both. So their surname, right? Yuan is from their like Peking opera teacher, and that's like one of my favorite Chinese actors is Yuen Biao, who like came up with Jackie Chan. He came up with Sammo Hung. All of these dudes were like they were the Seven Little Fortunes. They were like this famous young opera troupe. So these dudes were like, both the two landlords were just fucking stuntmen. And that's how they came up. Their like whole life was trying to be stuntmen because that's how they made money.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of them, Yuen Hua did a ton of shit, but like Yuen Cho just like disappeared. She was the landlady. But like some of these dudes,
I think she steals the movie.
She is the best part of the movie.
She's if like everyone's like, well, she was the funniest.
Right. She's funny.
Smoking that cigarette like nobody's fucking.
When she just sucks the whole cigarette.
Yeah,
down
but just in
one
general,
drag.
just that she's like you can't separate her in the cigarette.
Yet again, her Looney Tunes. You're like, that's just a Looney Tunes joke that she inhales and sucks in a whole cigarette. No, it's not. It's foreshadowing that literally her superpower is her lung capacity.
Right, she's got the lion's roar. Right. Oh, I've never seen the lion's roar before.
Fucking crap. And they slipped everything by me.
Right.
Because I usually watch movies and go, Chekhov's gun is such an easy formula. You're like, well, James Woods is evil because he's the most famous person that seems good. Or, well, obviously that nuke is going to go off, or why did we look at it?
Yeah.
But in this, they get everything fucking by me. It goes like, oh, you brought a funeral bell to represent this? And I'm like, yeah, that's what that is. It's because they bring a death bell. You're like, no, it's part of their secret plan.
It's
everything is
so rad how they use that.
The twists
so cool.
They use it as a speaker,
And I love the pacing of literally in the scene where the Beast agrees to fight them. You go in your mind. I mean, I was thinking, and I feel like most of us would think, okay, so now comes a sequence where he tracks them down or they fight each other. He turns around and they're in the next room. And that fight happens immediately. And it's not like forced. It makes sense that they'd be there. But in retrospect, I was like, how well crafted to be like, we've promised what the final battle will be. Here's the final battle.
Right.
Like,
it's
why
here,
would we dick around?
Yeah.
Like, you go for
Cut
it.
to the chase.
It's because like the narrative is the fighting. It's not the things that happen around
that's
the
a good
fighting.
point.
So it's like the actions these people choose. In a lot of like action movies, like Western action movies, people want to do an action and then fighting gets in the way.
Yeah.
But in this movie, and a lot of wuxia movies, and the martial arts genre, it's like especially wuxia, because they're like part of this culture, this like the Wulin, this like martial culture.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to fight you. The reason I've come here is because I want to fight you now, because that's who I am and who you are.
Yeah.
Like in Cracked, we often talked about how these movies are, and any movie with high level stunt work is like musical theater for people who feel like, I would never go see a musical, but I will watch these dudes beautifully dance fight around each other.
I talk about Rachmaninov or whatever. He was a famous Russian ballet dancer, right?
Yeah.
But then like Jackie Chan can move better than that dude. Like Jackie Chan is the most poetic.
Drunken Master is like
incredible.
Yeah, like you said, you're like, he could be doing ballet or anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the way there's this one movie that came out a year before Drunken Master called Fearless Hyena, where it's the same. It's early Jackie Chan. It was his first starring role, I think. It's also funny. Yan Wu-ping choreographed it and directed it. But the martial art in that is like emotionally based, right? Like, you're laughing like this and you're crying like this. So it's just Jackie Chan pulling face for the entire movie. Just like doing this, all these incredible, like Buster Keaton-esque emotive motions with his body while fighting. And it's just fucking great. It's so good.
And it's like you said, that's so interesting because like when John Wick runs into a sword museum.
Wait, does that happen in John Wick 3?
Yeah, in John Wick 3, he's chasing some dudes, and the dudes by chance flee into a museum of antique weapons.
Of course.
And you're like, that's the last place you want to run into when John Wick's chasing.
Wait, that happens in the second
place.
Matrix.
Really?
In the second Matrix, when he's at the Merovingian's house, there's like an ancient weapons museum in his like fancy chalet, because the Wachowskis know what they want to do.
But it does feel like it pauses for you to see how cool the stunt work is going to be.
Right.
Then there's a break in between the fights where one plot beat happens. Whereas in this movie, it feels like in between the fights, there's a bunch of hilarious jokes, and then while the fight is happening, the plot events
the
are
plot
unspooled.
is there, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the climax and stuff, because there isn't a lot of, like you said earlier, it's not a very intricate plot. You know?
Although I like
nuance,
I
but
like
it's not
the double
like the
fake
beats.
out where they're like, the opening sequence establishes that the Axe Gang is the most feared thing
Right.
possible,
Right.
and then they're fake Axe Gang members, but then the Axe Gang isn't even the main villain; it's the Beast.
Right.
I like that.
That is
message.
nice,
It's not
yeah.
complex, but it's cool.
But right.
That is a little bit more complex than like a Boy Meets Girl or something
Right.
like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's like
There's some switcheroos. in
you
it.
don't need. It's the kind of plot weaving that isn't really straight up exposition.
Mhm.
Therefore, it can be done during a fight. It doesn't have to be like, while we're catching our breath, let me explain to you that
What just
my
happened."
father. You see, my father and my mother aren't actually my father and my mother.
They invented a device.
Yeah.
The device works as follows.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let's punch a few times. Okay, now back to my device.
Yeah, I love fight scenes where they pause in between fighting to have 2 lines of dialogue, then fight more. You're like,
Right.
Who's ever done
Why?
that? in a
That's
fight
very
ever?
Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you a thing.
Yeah.
Although that
I'm
the
actually-
Pirates
I'm
fight
not
where they
left-handed.
fight on the wheel
That's fucking
could
great.
go in this movie.
Yeah, very much. And that it's like as much a gag as it is a fight.
Yeah.
Wuxia deals a lot with identity, right? It's like, oh, you are this person. I
Right.
didn't know you're this person. Now I do is always a major, not always, but it's often a major plot element.
Journey to the West is he realizes he's the reincarnation of a guy he didn't know he
But
was.
it's not always
Yeah.
about you realizing it. It's often about the other person. Like Journey to the West is sort of pre-Wuxia because it's like straight up mythic, like all about legends and stuff. But like this genre, from like the 1920s, whatever, there's always like, oh, your dagger arms, like Wu Chen. I didn't realize that was you, right? Like there's always this like,
Yeah, the
oh, you're
dagger.
like, oh, have you guys seen Five Deadly Venoms, right? Wu-Tang Clan
No,
raps
just the
about it
trailer.
all the time, right? It is like a must-see if you're interested in wuxia, but the whole movie is about like who's who, because it's just
Yeah.
like a bottle mystery with kung fu in it.
Yeah, but the tradition is so much more that the fights need to include bits. Like Jackie Chan and
Right.
Drunken Master will suddenly be like, for the next sequence of 10 hits, I'm not going to let the bottle tip. It's going to remain vertical. And it's like, it reminds me of Kung Fu Panda, I thought was elevated in the sense that I walked away from that movie going, wow, they really used the action sequences to explore iterative bits instead
Right.
of just Jason Bourne punches.
Right, kills, shoots.
Yeah, exactly. And it tickles the comedian in me so much because it's the same process of brainstorming what would be a good bit
Right.
for this fight.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of Rolodexing bits. It's so fun.
They also, so you mentioned Jackie Chan, and so like
Yeah.
the Seven Little Fortunes sort of family tree does that a lot with both comedy and in the action sequences, and sometimes they intersperse. Like there's this Yuen Biao movie where he's like fighting this Manchu prince, and he like punches him in the head and gives him a goiter, and so the whole sequence, like the 5-7 minute fight, like every now and again he just hits him in that spot again, and it's
Right.
like this is kind of
It's a
funny,
game.
but it's also like a violent game.
What I mean by bit is it's a concept that you inherently immediately, and I understand why they like Looney Tunes, because
Right.
Looney Tunes operates on this principle. We can show you 3 elements and you understand the game.
Right.
And then the game can dissolve and a new game can form. The one that comes to mind is you don't fully know why she's smacking the bell, but you immediately understand her goal is to hit the bell as many times as in a row as she can. The beast's goal is to interrupt that process.
Right.
I don't know why, but I immediately instinctively know the rules of the game, which allows me to root for her to win the game.
Yes. Yeah,
And,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Every moment is
Yep.
that.
Right.
Whereas there's so many action movies that fall into what's the game? I hope our guy kills the other guy.
Right.
It's nice. It's nice that they introduce like athletic and martial stakes that aren't just I punch
One
you,
of the
you punch me. Yeah.
objectively greatest games ever played is Legend of Drunken Master with Keep the Jug Alive.
Yeah.
Right. Just like
know,
keep
And
it
then
up.
this one,
Yeah.
my favorite is I throw a sheaf of 10 spears at once. Now we go into slow motion.
Yes.
My goal is for just at least one spear to reach
make
you.
it.
Your
Yeah.
goal is to stop that.
Right.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
your loot.
Yeah, that Wuxia's so good because it's got the fantasy element in the martial world of like we have all this like magic shit, so let's
Yeah.
play with what the game is. Like Crouching Tiger does that really well, where I'm forgetting the name of Chow Yun-Fat's character, but like his thing is like, how am I going to beat you without touching you while you have the best sword ever made, right?
Right.
Oh, I'll just like stop you with this stick, or like, I'll just move out of the way because
Right.
I'm such a badass. It's like that. The game is, he's so good that he's making it too hard for himself.
Yes. Although I do also love that this movie is so in masterful control of all those tropes that it can switch seamlessly between doing them correctly and making fun
And
of them.
fucking them up, yeah.
Because all these tropes are illogical, so at any time you can go, although it is kind of weird that we all buy this.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
I love that he's like, in a scene where he realizes, I'm very strong. I can stomp on someone's toes, and their toes get crushed.
That's spam
That ends
Right.
the fight.
Yeah.
Now, in every other kung fu movie, I would do a variety of things because that's entertaining. But if I could just do this, why wouldn't I just do that over
Yeah,
and over?
just keep doing
So
that.
they have
while.
a scene
Yeah.
where he just stomps 30 guys' toes. It's like playing a fighting game where
Right.
you're like, well, if this move works the best, why
I'll just
don't I
keep doing
do
this.
this?
Yeah,
move?
Spam
right. I'll
spam
just
the
spam this
button.
move. Right. Why makes Keelik like shoot his staff out, and that's the best reach in the
And
game? I'm
then-
just gonna keep doing
But
it.
then 2 minutes later, we're back to a completely different game.
Right.
Because
He does forget the
the
stomp
importance
move,
and
yeah.
care put into the fight sequences of like both of Eastern and Western cultures. Look no further than the names we give to those genres. In the West, we call them action movies. And in the East, they're martial arts films.
Yeah,
It's
true.
like this is what matters, because there's this
Yeah.
cultural history of like performative martial arts.
Right.
Where with us, there's a cultural history of like wanting to have the biggest dick.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right, shoot guns good.
But I mean, have you seen
There's
my
still
Have you
dick?
seen my cock?
There's still about an ever increasing
Right.
power level, but it has a different feel. For
Yeah,
sure.
it does.
Yeah, and I gotta say the cocoon butterfly thing.
Yeah.
I immediately thought of Serious Man because that was I love the tactic in Serious Man where, and I still think it's even more effective in Serious Man. But as a storytelling, I had not seen this in film before Serious Man. Now I realize I actually saw it in Kung Fu Hustle first. The idea of seeing something symbolically happen on screen that lets you know that simultaneously the thing it's a symbol for also happened off screen.
Like that's how you show it. Yeah.
Right, like they
That's
show a
been done
butterfly
lot.
coming out of a cocoon and you never see him come out of his cocoon. You just assume he did.
Right.
In Serious Man, I love it. They show a car accident in the same way. A guy gets in a minor fender bender and that is symbolic for the knowledge that simultaneously a much more serious car accident happened to a different character off camera. Pardon. And they never show that. You just have to like gather
Infer
it.
it,
I just
yeah.
think
Right.
that's a cool
No,
technique.
I mean, I wouldn't say they invented it because I know
No.
I've seen it before, but it is an effective device, and when it's used, it makes the audience feel smart. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the part of entertainment is you ingratiate your audience.
And that's what gets me to the point where I compare Chow to Edgar Wright. Is like he also cares about the visuality of filmmaking to a deep degree.
He's a really good director.
Yeah.
In this movie especially, he's just nailing it.
And this could be my ignorance, but like I felt like the final song also one of the best scores ever. Like the score of this movie.
Yeah,
rules.
where he uses really classical, like he uses
Yeah.
like a historical wuxia movie score,
Right.
but it's more of like
Yeah.
the movie takes place in like the same time frame as like It Man, where it's like in the 20s and 30s, right? And it's like the music is ahistorical and it fits
Yes.
really well.
And yet I would say the final score piece of the film, I was like totally is like 50% Ennio Morricone, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly
Uh-huh.
theme.
Yeah.
50% Joe Hisaishi, like a classic, Miyazaki theme.
Right.
So it's like you said, he disjoints time is another thing that gives me flashes of Tarantino. Like the music's important in this film to
Right.
the point that the score actually is physically involved in one of the
And
fight
embodied,
sequences.
yeah.
But even just that, like this is one of the few film scores I listen to this score on CD. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's a
I don't
good
do
score.
that a lot.
It's
Yeah.
solid.
I do that with
score.
Mononoke's score. I do that with Ennio Morricone's scores, and I do that with this score.
I like the score
Yeah.
from Hero a lot because it's Itzhak Perlman playing violin, and then it's this dude like
he's the
Tan
he's
Dun
dope.
who does a ton of shit, and then Kodo, like the famous
Yeah, the
Japanese
big drums,
drumming
yeah.
troupe. Yeah, but I think the group is also called Kodo, and they're like,
Okay.
the music's just so good.
Yeah.
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 Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
I might be out of stuff. I mean, I can just start reading quotes and shit, but people should just watch it or watch it
Yeah.
again if you haven't.
It's really good. It's really good to watch.
I've watched it. I was saying I didn't even rewatch it really for this
We've
Yeah.
seen it
preparation.
enough.
I've seen it so many times that I just kind of shuttled through it.
Right.
Which is just so. That's just sick. That's
Yeah.
sick. I've watched this movie too much. It's so good.
I feel like I want to hit some kung fu movies people should watch if they like
that's-
that hits the tropes.
that's your
It's
prerogative.
like where
Yeah.
some of the tropes came from. I think definitely watch any of the movies that are called The One-Armed Swordsman, but my personal favorite is the new One-Armed Swordsman to get the sense of like the hero in white kind of wuxia trope. Watch The Swordmaster, which is new, but it's from 2017, but it's based on a Gulong novel to like also get that wuxia sense. Watch what's the Bruce Lee movie that I feel like he's pulling from a lot? The Big Boss. There's some choreographic elements from The Big Boss in this that you should definitely check out. And then, I mean, he pulls on The Matrix a lot. So, like, watch
Yeah.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
And
I
Just watch The
guess.
Matrix.
watch The Matrix, the original Drunken Master, or The Prodigal Son, which is Yun Biao and Sammo Hung, to get, like, that golden harvest feel of where a lot of this shit is coming from.
And if you really like the game element of the martial arts, all the movies that I'm aware of that you named,
Yeah.
and also, man, that's pretty Western.
And-
You can
right.
get that on Netflix, I think. and stuff
And then you can probably get it anywhere. They're
Yeah.
coming out with the fourth one soon, and it
Yeah.
also hits this like classic like China around the revolution era, like in the early mid 1900s. This movie's set in which is a fun time period to set a movie in.
Right, yeah. Old timer.
Yeah.
I just read on IMDb also that it's every level, you guys. It's every
It's a good
fucking
movie.
level.
He's closing
Yeah.
his eyes and seeing the future right
it's
now. everyone.
it's called the landlady's ultimate ability is called the
The
lion's,
Lion's Roar, yeah.
Lion that roars in the east is Chinese period appropriate Chinese slang for a wife that nags you a lot.
Really?
So
Ah,
it's like
fuck.
everything, like the names of their powers are puns. If
Right.
we grew
If
up
we
in
knew
China,
it,
we would know.
yeah.
You know,
I-
everything is. I have to because I guess because I'm a white knight virtue signaler. That's everything that's wrong
Right.
with society. I have to say I cringe at the gay joke.
There is gay scare in this, which is uncomfortable.
FYI, if you're gonna
Yeah.
watch this, like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want you to not know if homophobic jokes bug you. There's a guy whose whole bit is like he's an amazing fighter, but his whole bit is the fact that he's gay means that he like acts like a girl and
Yeah, he's
cries
sometimes,
easily
right,
and runs
yeah.
at in a
That to
fancy
me,
way.
so that is the most
It bugged
dated.
me.
That's the most dated joke to me.
Yeah.
But then also like the relationship because the woman is a deaf mute who has no character at all. Like
was
that
my
bugged
next
me a
point.
little bit.
Yeah. And my note was, oh, good. Our hero has learned how to be good, so now he gets the sex prize, which is a woman who can't speak. Hooray!
Hooray! Yeah.
Everything as it
Right.
should be for the guy
Yeah, right.
in the movie.
On
The
the
special boy.
Right.
He's
On
a special boy.
the virtue signaling white knight train, I think it's especially for me because I love wuxia movies and I'm clearly so excited to talk about
Yeah.
it. Like I am aware this is not my culture and I can barely at all like pronounce Mandarin right,
Right.
let alone like Cantonese or anything. I don't know that much. I'm just eager and excited about a thing that
It's
I
a
love, but
good movie.
right, I didn't grow up
Yeah.
in. But yeah, it's a fucking great movie.
And it has classic jokes that would work in like a Pixar movie. They're like fundamental human jokes that always
Yeah.
work. Like when she opens, they're fighting down below. She opens the shutters. Shut up! People are trying to sleep. Eat shit and die, lady. Die in this racket? Like that's like a Laurel and Hardy
Yeah.
line. It's just works.
So funny. The
All
whole
right, we should
fucking
wrap it
movie,
up. So the
yeah.
last thing I'm going to say about this film is trivia I learned. At 41 minutes in, there's a tracking shot where that kid who always has his ass crack hanging out
Yeah.
is squatting on concrete. There was originally a turd under his butt, and that's the explanation of why that kid's ass crack is always out. The culmination of that bit is that he shits in public wherever he wants. the censors made them digitally remove the human turd from the shot. So at 41 minutes, look for a dude who is squatting with his bare bottom showing, clenching as if he's shitting, but there's nothing there. It's really weird looking.
I always wondered about that.
And I just wanted that to be the last factoid I dispensed.
Yeah,
That's
just
a great
about the
fact.
phantom pooping.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts from you dudes before you wrap it
I
up?
got no final thoughts. This is a great movie.
It's phenomenal. And I know a lot of people who consider comedy writing an art form to consider this to be like a caviar of the comedy writing art form for sure.
Is there anything else that you wanted to plug that you didn't at the start?
Tell everyone about your show.
No, yeah. So if you've never listened to At Least There's This, it's been off the podcast air for a while. It will come back eventually, but listen to back episodes. These dudes have been on it. Mike twice, Abe once, and they're great. Beautiful, amazing boys, these boys.
We
Thank
did,
you.
as a kind of a way to tie in us launching our show, the Coen Brothers, we talked to the Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping us.
And
I
then
loved that.
I did the Sun.
You did The Sun,
That's
and
right. So
But-
just real quick, because
Right.
you have gotten to plug it but not explain it. The title's very clear, but explain the show.
So the world is a fucking nightmare. Everything sucks, and we're all gonna die. But at least there's some things that people genuinely love.
And I love that
Yeah.
premise. I mean, we
it's
need that
wholesome.
right now.
Right.
Very wholesome.
If you listen to our sister podcast feed or watch it, what I'm trying to say is Cody Johnson and Katie Stoller are good friends. So I call them a sister operation.
Yeah.
If you watch their show, Some More News, At Least There's This is like the perfect thing after that.
Yeah,
It
it's
ameliorates.
Yeah.
Yes, and we need that now.
The nightmare.
So
and
thank you.
I will be bringing it back soon. But the thing that's been taking all my time is a live show that will become a podcast eventually. But it's my baby, and it's called Science the Show. So I host it with a stand-up comedian and a research scientist, and it's like a night of stand-up and like the coolest TED Talk that doesn't make you roll your eyes.
And that's exactly our audience. They would love that shit. Like I know you
Right.
people listening would like that.
If
so go to
you're
that.
in the LA area,
Nerds.
find us. We do it. We've got the next 3 months. We're at 2-Bit Circus. If you've ever been to 2-Bit
Yeah.
Circus, it's the fucking coolest place in LA. So we're performing there. We have amazing scientists. We've had somebody who works on telescopes in Antarctica. We've had amazing evolutionary biologists, and then some of the best comics in LA coming for some tripped out cool science shit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you
That's awesome.
Twitter or Insta?
Right now I'm tweeting at Science the Show for the show. At least this does have a Twitter, but it's also on hiatus. But that will come back. Find me on all the socials at either of those two things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was a blast. Thank you for picking this one.
I fucking love this movie, guys.
Finally banked. Now I
Yeah.
just have to get someone to be willing to cover Dark City and Shakes the Clown, and I'll be satisfied with this
Yeah.
series. We got Freaked, which I didn't think we'd get.
We got October Sky for me. so-
That's right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.